Good evening and welcome to the evening news for Tuesday, October 14, 2014. I'm Petra Lisantos. Thank you for joining us. Making the headlines this evening, contractor hangs self at Defiance home. East Bank residents dissatisfied after flood relief meeting with local government minister. AFC in push for early parliament sitting to discuss no confidence motion. Digicel gets permission for a new fiber optic cable, and isolation room at CGIA coming soon as government beefs up Ebola surveillance. And now for the news in detail. An Affiance Village Essequibo Coast man ended his life on Tuesday morning. Dead is 49-year-old Chandra Dio. His body was discovered at around 6 hours 30 hanging from his store room. The discovery was made by his son. According to a relative, the man's wife woke up and did not see her husband, so she sent her son to look for him. Searches were conducted and his body was discovered hanging from a rafter attached to their storeroom. Family members are unclear as to the reason for the suicide. He was a well-known contractor for the Region 2 administration. Following the discovery, police were summoned and the body was taken off the rafter. Dio leaves to mourn his 5 children and his wife. Local Government Minister Norman Whitaker was rudely greeted by East Bank residents who were affected by the recent flood in the area. Here is more in this report.
A pandemonium broke out last evening at the Peters Hall Primary School as Local Government Minister Norman Whitaker visited the area to meet with persons who were affected by a recent flood which was caused by a coker in the area that caved in. Minister Whitaker explained that his visit was to discuss the nature of support needed. He then highlighted the steps persons who are affected can take in order for the issue to be addressed.
First of all, let me thank you for being here. Secondly, let me say the prime purpose of my visit. And by the way, Thursday evening I was in your village. While the waters were rising, I was in your community. I met with a number of people and I spoke with them. So it's not the first time, okay? The purpose of my visit is primarily to hear from you. Now this is what I want to hear. Listen to me. The nature of the losses you incur. We have agreed that the very volunteers that have been working, going house to house, will continue that exercise. But those of you who are at work, and you're probably not home when the volunteers come around, go straight to the NDC. The overseer will be there every day. This young man is the overseer. There are other staff there. Go there and give your information. Okay? But having said that, again I say to you, we will have to sample check the information.
Also speaking were some agitated residents who told this newscast that they are not satisfied with the minister's decision but will wait and see what will happen.
Well, I think all this just promises because look, they're telling us tomorrow there's going to come wrong, the coker is going to fix. You know what I mean? But what's happened to people who don't have a bed to sleep on? The fridge, the furniture, everything destroyed. You know, when there's going to fix these cars? You know what I mean? Look, I bought my car, $5 million. I never even drive in it 5 days. Come home to Guyana, retire. Is this what the minister is going to tell us now?
You got to get food, everything wet up. All the mattress. They should get back to things before Christmas because this government is like months and years before they get anything.
The NDC come and take everybody bed, every gas stove, fridge, everything. Who responsible for that?
Why didn't they come instead of waiting so long to come and keep this meeting? They should have come the very next day. And then they would have seen all the mess in people's house and the losses. People already throw away a lot of stuff because the NDC truck come and pick up everything. Only a few persons have some stuff still in their yard.
However, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Lionel Wordsworth, assured residents that the coker is currently undergoing rigorous works to ensure no further damages is being done. Royden James, reporting for the Evening News.
The Alliance for Change says it is disappointed that there has been no effort to reconvene the 10th Parliament since it wants to move ahead with the no-confidence motion against government. The details in this report.
In a release to the press today, the party said that the recess period of the National Assembly has already come to an end and could not understand why there could not be a reconvening. The party said it believes the delay is as a result of the tabling of the no-confidence motion, which was submitted to the clerk of the National Assembly in early August. The party said that its Vice Chairman Moses Nagamutu, who had tabled the motion, had requested that it be placed under the order paper as a matter of priority to take precedence over all other matters pending debate in the National Assembly. It said too that it had hoped that the sitting of the House would have been scheduled for October 16. However, according to the party, that seems quite unlikely given the fact that no order paper has not yet been published. Given the importance of the motion, the junior political opposition party is pressing for a sitting to be called on October 22nd or 24, which is permissible under the parliamentary standing orders. The Alliance for Change had in August submitted a no-confidence motion against the ruling PPPC government. If debated and passed, the Donald Ramotar administration will have to resign and make preparation for national elections in 3 months' time. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
In this report, we hear that the Chief Labour Officer has recommended that the dismissal of the worker who reportedly had an altercation with a manager at the Skeldon factory be rescinded. Here's more in this report.
Following conciliatory talks between the Guyana Agriculture and Workers Union and the Guyana Sugar Corporation, spearheaded by the Ministry of Labour, Chief Labour Officer Charles Ogle has recommended that the dismissal of mill dock operator Stephen Daniel be rescinded and he be reinstated to his post. Information reaching this newscast revealed that the recommendation was made on October 1st during the second conciliatory meeting. However, Gaisuku had requested time to respond, but 2 weeks after, they are yet to do so. Efforts to contact Gaisuku's CEO Raj Singh, who made the request, proved futile. Meanwhile, President of GAU, Komal Chand, expressed his disappointment in the slothfulness of the sugar company in responding to the recommendations. Chand pointed out that the matter should be one treated with urgency given the losses incurred by all parties during the strike action held last month in Berbice. Following 5 days of strike action, the two parties agreed on a 6-item terms of resumption under the chairmanship of the Chief Labour Officer. This resulted in the industrial action being called off and the dismissal of the dock mill operator, reversing to unpaid suspension. During the conciliatory discussions, both GAU and Gaisuku made presentations relating their respective sides of the issue. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manik-chan.
Stay with us, you're watching the Evening News. If you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. In this report, you'll hear that Digicel Ghana will be bringing in another fiber optic cable that will increase its capacity and services offered. The details in this report.
Amid mounting concerns over the passage of the Telecoms Bill for the liberalization of the telecommunications sector, Digicel Ghana has already begun taking steps to improve the delivery of service to Guyanese customers. And although there has been no confirmation, former President Dr. Bharata Jagdeo had last Friday hinted that the company was looking to bring in another fiber optic cable to improve the information and communication technology sector.
I've seen and I've stayed quiet, and it's hard to do so. I've seen the comments publicly about we don't have a vision for ICT because we said, one, liberalization of the sector, two, to bring in more bandwidth into the country, because when Accenture did a study here, our cost of bandwidth was too high, so we said we'll bring in a fiber optic cable from Brazil, and now Digicel has applied to bring in another cable, and I think the government has given them permission. That's one, cheaper bandwidth.
Jagdeo was at the time speaking within the context of green growth and the saving of that can be incurred from the investments in the ICT sector. The former president related that any investment on the part of government or the private sector in technology will reflect well for the country's plans to advance technologically.
Cheaper bandwidth, more bandwidth in the country, a public Wi-Fi network plus e-government, and then the means through which people can interface with that network. And if we can do that, we then computerize practically the entire country. In the hinterland, the hubs in the Amerindian areas, which we are building now 100 hubs, so that they too can become connected.
Effectively, the champion of the earth lashed out at critics and opposition naysayers who had criticized government for allegedly not having a feasible plan to propel Guyana into the technological age. He said that among the plans to drive the sector forward is the move to bring in additional fiber optic cables and the liberalization of the telecoms sector.
20-year-old Cassia Santos of Lot 18 Looney Street, Queenstown, was today placed on $50,000 bail after being charged for fraud. The Brazilian citizen appeared at the Georgian Magistrates Courts before the Chief Magistrate, Priya Sinarayan Bihari. It is alleged that on October 13 at Ogo East Coast, Demerara, with the intent to defraud the state, she issued to Constable 21082 Bani one Brazilian passport with 2 Ghana stamps, one for departure and one for arrival. The defendant pleaded guilty to the charge, but however, based on her explanation that she was told by a Brazilian officer that the passport is unique and was told this about 3 months ago, a not guilty plea was entered. The facts were as charged and bail was granted to her. Her matter is set to be recalled on November 7 before Magistrate Dylan Bess for statements. The Georgian Public Hospital yesterday began training its first batch of medical personnel to use the personal protective gear in light of the deadly outbreak of the Ebola virus disease. Here is more from Alexis Rodney.
The training, which is different from the one involving the 1,600 medical personnel, is being held in the new isolation unit of the Georgetown Public Hospital and will continue until all relevant persons have received training. Consultant for the Medicine Infectious Disease Unit of the GPHC, Dr. Johan Cole, who is carrying out the exercise, explained that it is important for the personnel, which include doctors, nurses and lab technicians, among other staff, to be absolutely safe when attending to patients with such infectious diseases. Cole, in discussions with participants, explained the mode of transmission for the deadly disease.
Incubation time for Ebola, which means the time from when you get exposed to the virus to the time that you develop infections, is anywhere between 2 to 21 days. So that means somebody may have had an exposure 3 weeks ago, they potentially could get ill. Somebody had an exposure 4 weeks ago and they haven't gotten sick, they are not going to become ill. They're no longer considered potential, right? Patients who maybe had exposure but are not symptomatic are not infectious. Okay, so somebody may have had an exposure, but there's no reason that you need to be worried about exposure if they don't have cough, or if they don't have fever, if they don't have any symptoms. Okay. So as we mentioned, the transmission is direct contact and indirect contact, and there is no airborne transmission of Ebola. It can be cleaned relatively easily. So standard chlorine solutions, the standard chlorine solution that we use for cleaning the environment already in the hospital is effective for killing it in the environment. It's killed by direct sunlight, it's killed by heat, it's killed by usual soaps and detergents. It's not hard to kill it.
The PPE include a waterproof coverall, shock covers, face masks and face shield, goggles and gloves. Chief Executive Officer of the GPHC, Michael Khan, who joined the training session briefly, told the staff that the Ebola crisis is a serious thing and hopes it does not reach the shores of Guyana. He explained that the training will last for 1 hour each day and encouraged staff to make the best use of it. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
In this story, we hear that the Health Ministry is soon to set up its first ever isolation unit and tent at the Cheddi Jagan International Airport as government continues in its effort to prevent the deadly Ebola virus from entering Guyana. Here is more from Alexis Rodney.
Based on information provided that doctors have been stationed at Guyana's main port of entry to conduct surveillance activities on passengers coming into the country, and more recently that 1,600 medical officers are set to receive training for any outbreak of the Ebola virus here, questions have been asked about Guyana's capacity to detect and treat any suspected case of the disease. Health Minister Dr. Barry Ramsran had already told this newscast that Guyana is in no shape to carry out the actual scientific test for the virus. In fact, he reminded that there are only 2 countries around the world that are capable of detecting the virus through laboratory testing. Officer attached to the Port Health Office of the CJIA, Mr. Jeffrey Morris, told the Evening News on Monday that government is in the process of setting up the unit at a selected area at the airport. That special room will be used strictly for any suspected cases of the Ebola virus from passengers coming into the country. He said doctors working there carry out their duties during the evening hours, while Port Health officers carry out similar activities during the day. These include screening and checks for any symptoms of the disease. He said while there have been no suspected cases so far, there is already a quarantine room at the airport awaiting any eventualities. Jeffrey told the Evening News that staff at the Port Health Office have already received protective gears and are in the process of receiving training in their proper use. The most recent report coming out of the World Health Organization is that some 4,447 persons have so far died from the Ebola virus disease, while there could be up to 10,000 new cases per week within 2 months if global efforts are not stepped up. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
Meanwhile, GWI officials have remained cagey on whether the water coming through our tap is safe for consumption. Here is more in this report.
Officials at the Guyana Water Incorporated today chose silence when asked about the purity of the tap water. GWI's PRO Timothy Austin deflected all questions posed to him at a press conference, saying that the quality control manager would be the better person to answer the question.
Let me leave that question for another time because our quality person is not here at the moment. So I will leave it. I'll follow up with you on that question at a later time.
Alright, we're sitting here at GWI in the office. Do you guys drink water, tap water here?
Yes, we all do. We all do.
I noticed there's water from banks in a thing.
That's not from banks. That's from our recycled waters. That's from our plant.
In fact, when it was pointed out that the purity of the water should not be a question that only the quality control manager can answer, Austin flat out refused to answer.
But as I said before, it's best if our quality manager is here. She'll be able to answer that with details. I would not answer that question at the moment. Can you give a straightforward answer, yes or no? I will not answer that question at the moment. Our quality manager is not here. That information will be given to you at a later time. Any further questions? Tracy Cantor.
Mr. Austin, you said that you would drink the tap water.
All the time.
Stay with us. More of the Evening News after these messages. Welcome back. 24-year-old Gary Kandai of Thomas Street, South Cummingsburg was today sentenced to 3 years imprisonment after being charged for a break-and-enter charge. Kandai appeared before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarayan Bihari at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts. It was alleged that he, between October 11 and 12, broke and entered the office of Attorney Emil Dodson and stole therein 2 Dell computers, 1 toilet set, a wheelbarrow, a stabilizer, and a web camera totaling $373,000. The man told the court that he did not break and enter the office, but is guilty of fetching the items out of the office. He said he was paid $500 by 2 unidentified men. The chief magistrate then said to Kandai that he can be charged for larceny. The man kept quiet. The police prosecutor was then asked to give an account for his past brushes with the law. Inspector Michael Grant then told the court that he was convicted 2 times before for the same offense and was released in February, which the defendant denied. The chief magistrate then sentenced him to 3 years in prison. Another young Guyanese lawyer was earlier today called to the bar to be admitted. Here is more in this report.
Yolanda Prasad, who recently returned from the Woodin Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, was earlier today called to the bar of Guyana. Her petition was presented by attorney-at-law Edward Luku before Chief Justice Ian Chang. Luku, in presenting the petition, spoke of Prasad's academic and scholastic achievements and the high level of competence she displayed the short time she spent working at his office. This newscast caught up with a former Queen's College student who shared her expectations on some of what she has already ventured into as a young lawyer.
Well, I would expect that the backlog would be somewhat remedied, and with the influx of the new attorneys, that maybe we'll be able to help dispense with justice in a more speedy manner. Well, I'm currently holding an associate attorney position, And for now, I'll be doing mostly research until I'm admitted to the bar on November 14th in Trinidad and Tobago.
Royden James, reporting for the Evening News.
The Caribbean Export Development Agency, Caribbean Export, is reported to have awarded some €296,000 in grant funding to Guyanese firms to date via the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme as part of the Regional Private Sector Development Program, funded by the European Union under the 10th European Development Fund. Since 2011, during the 10th EDF, the agency has issued 2 calls for proposals. The latter of the 2 was released in January of this year and received 341 applications from across the region. 5 Guyanese firms have been awarded grants on this occasion with a cumulative value of €119,000. They are Amazon Caribbean Ghana Limited, Eco Woods, Edward B. Bihari and Company Limited, Parika Sawmill Limited, and Superior Shingles and Wood Products Incorporated. According to a release, the objective of this scheme is to open new markets, in particular to capitalize on the benefits of the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement, the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the Caribbean DR Free Trade Agreement, or any other bilateral or multilateral agreements signed between the region or with African, Caribbean and Pacific or European Union partners. Stay with us, more news when we come back. Welcome back, and now for a look at some news in the region. Police in Brazil have broken up an illegal abortion network operating in Rio de Janeiro and near suburbs. 4 to 7 people were arrested as part of Operation Herod, which followed the recent deaths of 2 Brazilian women who had illegal abortions. Police have arrested suspected leader Dr. Loso Guimarães and issued a further 28 arrest warrants. Abortion is only legal in Brazil in cases of rape, brain abnormalities, or if the mother's life is at risk. And internationally, the World Health Organization says the death toll from the Ebola virus outbreak has risen to 4,447, with the largest majority of victims in West Africa. WHO Assistant Director General Bruce Alliard, who said there could be up to 10,000 new cases a week within 2 months if efforts were not stepped up. But the rate of new infections in some areas has slowed down, he added. Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea have been hardest hit by the outbreak. There have been 8,914 cases overall, including the fatal cases, and the WHO says it expects this number to top 9,000 by the end of the week. Here now are your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed at 10 hours 30 on Wednesday, October 15 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed at 9 hours 35 on Wednesday, October 15 for a period of 1.5 hours. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Every day presents a few more challenges. Keeping your business running shouldn't be one of them. That's why we work every day towards ensuring your overall satisfaction. With over 100 skilled technicians and engineers equipped with the tools and skills to help you do more. With the largest parts inventory in Guyana, over 10,000 line items readily available. Driven by your success is not just a set of words to us. It is a code by which we live. That is why we are proud to say that we are Bridge.
Are you looking for a very good used Caterpillar machine at the price you want to pay? Come to our Providence East Bank Demerara Equipment Yard to inspect the machines for sale by tender from October 1st to 31st, 2014. See press or visit us on maccorpcat.com for more info.
Welcome back, and now for your sport headlines. Digicel launches breast cancer awareness cycle road race. Sri Lanka A thrashes Windies by 10 wickets, and Oscar Pistorius' sentencing adjourned. This segment of sport is sponsored by Maccorp.
Are you looking for a very good used Caterpillar machine at the price you want to pay? Come to our Providence East Bank Demerara Equipment Yard to inspect the machines for sale by tender from October 1st to 31st, 2014. See press or visit us on maccorpcat.com for more info.
Every day presents a few more challenges. Keeping your business running shouldn't be one of them. That's why we work every day towards ensuring your overall satisfaction. With over 100 skilled technicians and engineers equipped with the tools and skills to help you do more. With the largest parts inventory in Guyana, over 10,000 line items readily available. Driven by your success is not just a set of words to us. It is a code by which we live. That is why we are proud to say that we are Victory!
Sri Lanka A beat the West Indies A by 10 wickets in the first unofficial Test cricket match, which concluded at the Mahendra Rajapaksha Stadium in Hambantota. Leg spinner Sikuji Parasana had a match bag of 9 wickets as the West Indies A were bundled out of a total of 160 and 285 after Sri Lanka A made 413 in the first innings. The two teams will play the second unofficial Test from October 18 to 21 in Matatara. Telecommunication giants Digicel launched its first annual breast cancer awareness cycle road race set for October 29 in conjunction with the Avon Community Help Fund. Here is more from Tristan Joseph.
Many cyclists will queue up at the starting line at Rosignol for a chance to win the $250,000 first place prize. While adrenaline will be pumping for the event, the race will also serve to spread awareness about the dreaded breast cancer disease. Events and Sponsorship Manager of Digicel, Gavin Hope, gave the reason for partnering with the Avon Help Community Fund.
This organization and the work that they're doing actually made us decided that we should have a signature event. This event, or the cycle race, has become an annual event. It's a calendar event for Digicel, and we will continue to partner with Avon because we need to help and contribute to bring further awareness to the effects of cancer in general, but specifically breast cancer.
President of the Guyana Cycling Federation, Cheryl Thompson, highlighted the benefits cycling can have on an individual's health, as well as spreading breast cancer awareness.
Just by riding and probably having some sort of jerseys, some sort of leaflets, as we pass from different areas, different communities, we can distribute and edify the persons or the public and members who are following the event. I must say that the event would be, I promise you, a very exciting and very competitive one.
Acting chairperson of the Avon Community Help Fund, Judeta De Costa, shared some of the activities for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month while thanking Digicel for their support.
Breast cancer awareness should therefore be top of mind of everyone's concern, since one can have a mother, a wife, a sister, or a friend afflicted by the disease. Under the theme this year, See the Difference, Make a Difference, the Avon Fund has heightened its awareness and education programs for 2014. We also take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors and the media for the tremendous confidence and support you place in our campaign on breast cancer awareness and education in Guyana. Also, a special thank you to Digicel for the great part you've played with us.
The cyclists will have to register for the event at a cost of 1,000 Guyana dollars, which will then be donated to the Guyana Cancer Institute on race day. The event is set for a 900-hour start.
And Oscar Pistorius' tears and anxiety followed the killing of his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp appeared to be genuine, according to his probation officer. on day 2 of his sentencing hearing in Pretoria. Watched by his father Kente and Miss Steenkamp's mother June, Annette Vengier said Pistorius was sorry and heartbroken about what happened. She added that he had accepted responsibility for the death of Miss Steenkamp, highlighting his apology to her family. Pistorius, 27, was cleared of murdering his former girlfriend last month, but found guilty of culpable homicide, the equivalent of manslaughter in the United Kingdom, after the court found there was no basis to conclude that he intended to shoot her. But Judge Masipa admitted he had acted negligently. He was also found guilty of discharging a firearm in public, an offense relating to him firing a gun in a restaurant in Johannesburg. The prosecutions are pushing for him to serve a prison sentence for the killing, while his defense team submit that he should serve no more than house arrest or community service. The hearing has been adjourned until Wednesday morning. And that has brought us to the end of the evening news for today, Tuesday, October 14, 2014. Please remember to get a copy of tomorrow's edition of the Ghana Times newspaper for details of these stories and other news. I'm Peter Lisantis. Thank you for joining us.